podcast you cheer for. Sneaker business talk. It's the Soul Material Podcast.
And welcome to the podcast you cheer for, the Soul Material Podcast. I'm your man, the OGEO.
T-Mark, the Street Shark. We're here.
Man, and we are here to give you some of that sneaker business talk, no question. As it seems like it's been a reset year, a down sparrow, something's going on with 2023 regarding sneakers. And the Shark and I wanted to discuss that in detail compared to what has gone on in the past 2021, 2022, and where we are right now and why. And the predictions probably for the rest of this year and going forth as things continue to change within the industry. So, Shark, go ahead and set it off and let us know how you're feeling, research that you've done. You are very analytical as far as your predictions and your analytical mind. What is going on right now with the sneakers industry, the way it's now a downturn?
All right. Again, this is why we're the podcast you cheer for, and we give you that clarity over popularity, because this is some real sneaker business talk. We're talking all business here, and most of this conversation is going to be weighted on one particular brand, but it's how they relate to the footwear, not only the footwear industry, but just, when it comes to apparel and footwear and just consumer goods, this brand is growing. And if this was a music chart, you say you got a bullet because you're going all the way to the top. In this case, we're talking about Crocs. Okay, so Crocs is a brand that is not only on the rise, but like they are at it's an exponential rise for this time period. So let me just say that for this time period, exponential rise for them to keep doubling over like 50%, each year. It has a lot to do with what we've talked about in other episodes. We're just gonna mix it together like some good old New Orleans gumbo. When we just get a little piece of this, a little piece of that, and when you put it all together, it makes sense in the end. So some of those pieces are great collaborations. All right. They have collaborated with so many different artists and brands. It's not even funny. You literally had Scratch and Sniff, Kellogg's, and General Mills cereal. So if you scratched it, it smelled like Cinnamon Toast Crunch or Honey Nut Cheerios. When it comes to the movies, the Cars movies for the kids, and then you got your Black Panther, and then everything else in between as well, where they're investing in those licenses and really get it out there. And then some of these actual footwear and apparel brands that are collaborating with and boutiques that are collaborating with Crocs. They're really pushing the envelope on all the accessories that can come with a Croc and how many different ways that you can dress it up, and then add the gibbets and all different sizes of gibbets. I remember like Staple Pigeon, like when they did theirs, they were proud to say that they like one of their gibbets was a big pigeon footprint, like a paw for the pigeon. Like they let it be known that this is the biggest gibbet out there. You know what I mean? So it was like a status symbol to say like, yeah, we see y'all doing it, but we just did it bigger. So it's a lot of one-upping. So all of those things are good. And then their product is durable enough to keep lasting, and it's for all ages. And so you can get the cheaper price points, and they're probably on sale sitting at Foot Locker or somewhere right now just for the generic brands. But then again, you see Salehi Bember, with the Pollux, and now he has slides. Now he has Crocs slides, and they expanded it, the regular clogs to kids now. So now you have some of those vibrant colors, but for kids, and now it's just regurgitating all over again. So there's that good gumbo that I was talking about. Look at how many different ways that they did, how many strategies they deployed at the same time. So it's no wonder we're at where we're at.
So Crocs are responsible for downturning the typical running shoe or basketball shoe right now. How incredible is that?
Well, I think that like if you're a hooper, then you know about the the shoe and slide game as well, and how related they are, because that's what you're supposed to be wearing off the court. But like, pull up to an AAU tournament right now and see how many kids are wearing slides versus Crocs, right? Because you can flip the tail and go into sport mode, as like people like to say. So something that you can just slide your foot in, is one piece, is durable. Look, the Salehi shoe is made for you to go hiking in, because it has the extra cushion pods in there, and it's meant for you to go hiking and, you know, keep them on when you're going canoeing or kayaking in the water, you know, and then hike up a trail, and you never had to change the shoes, and they're breathable,
which is his personality. So it brings his personality to the shoe, which brings authenticity to it as well.
Exactly. So one of the hottest, you know, designers in the game, he's only like 2 years removed from being the head of, you know, the urban footwear at at Versace. You know what I'm saying? So like, all of these things go together. So, and then mix it in with this pandemic years and post-pandemic years. I think that has a lot to do with it too. A lot of home life, that's now blurry when you go outside. So, you know, you're wearing your house, you know, walking around the mall now. See how many Crocs you see when you're walking around. Look at people like myself, avid sneakerhead, sneaker collectors. And then, like, I'm shocking people when I only have the Salehis, but, you know, like, I'm shocking people when they're like, you, or where, you know, I was just like, hey, like, maybe as you get older, you want more comfortable shoes as well. And we talked about that too. But they're still stylish. Look, like Draymond Green had on the all black Salehi Crocs in his wedding. Period.
Nuts.
Like, that's what he wore at his wedding. You know what I'm saying? Questlove went on the red carpet with Salehi Crocs. Okay, so they're designed, like, I tried to explain it to someone one day, and then I said, "Oh, these are." She's like, "I've seen those before," and I was like, "But what's the difference between those and regular?" I was like, "Just think about these as like designer Crocs," and he's like, "Oh, that makes sense. No one ever explained it like that." You know what I mean? But so on top of that, I think the stigma of what a Croc is and what it was for, I don't think that they were so locked into what they were, like some old man dad shoe or something like that. They were never, the way that their brand, and when they entered the market, they didn't have one identity. So I think that it was easy for them to spread their wings and just go with this flow. So what's actually happening now, not only in the footwear industry, but just in consumer goods, you know, when it comes to not necessarily sales, you know, like, because they're doubling their sales, but it's hard to compare to other companies because of the price points and the volumes and all those things. So little apples and oranges, still fruit, but, you know, apples and oranges action. But if we want to go apples to apples, let's talk stocks. All right. Because it's the stock price of Crocs that is starting to crush. So if you invested, you know, so here's a tip, sneaker business talk. You know, like, if you invested, you know, $10,000, you know, 5 years ago in Crocs, you know what I'm saying, you'd probably be nearly $100,000 strong today. You know what I'm saying? So those are the type of things to just have that foresight. I know I'm rounding up, so that's not the exact number. Don't kill me. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just giving you some round figures for what's happening in the industry, so you can make fun of it all you want to. All right. People made fun of Shaq, but we act like Shaq isn't in his Shaq brand and those shoes that he pumps out, globally through Walmart. Sorry, but Shaq's at the top of the game when it comes to footwear sales and revenues, and the company that owns that, they also own Reebok and Forever 21 and a couple other stores. Shaq is on the board. All right, he's at the top of the food chain. They just don't know that. You know what I'm saying? So, because it's all about affordability. All right, and now you see some of the fakes starting to pop. Like, you saw those fake Yeezys at like the Walmarts and stuff like that. But now you're seeing it's another shift into the to Crocs world. You know what I mean? So you got fake Crocs out there. Like, what's up with that? But, you know, so you can get your $30 Crocs or whatever, $20. I'm sure that when they go on sale, I always see them lined up on a wall over in Foot Locker or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So if you want the generic ones, you can go get them there. And then like the way that you can just customize them, so some of these R&B artists and everything like that, they have their own. So it's one thing to just have a nice colorway, but then they just get to customize all their gibbets. So this is a shoe, just like I actually like this when you compare it to the origins of shoes and hip hop. You know what I'm saying? The Adidas fat laces is all about the things that we talk about as nostalgia on this podcast. When we talked about everyone we didn't want to be the same. So if you got the same shoes, you change the laces. This is the only thing that's doing that right now. So you wonder why it's working? Because this is the lane for people to be individuals too, and show a little personality. These are conversation starters.
Wow, it's funny you say that, Shark, because now that you say that, I think about the just universal diversity of you can be yourself, no matter if you are male, female, no matter what ethnicity, no matter what creed. Like you can get a Croc, customize a Croc, or find a Croc that fits you. And it's amazing because, like you said, the company did such a good job of leaving things open to where it's really open for everyone. So it reminds me almost, if I had to use an analogy, of being a wrestling fan, to where it's wrestling and it's music that really brings people together universally. And the Crocs has somehow been able to do that. And it has been incredible to see. And then seeing how, like you said, with Salehi and so forth, them going to the quote unquote luxury market, and it's working. And again, like we talked about in the Air Max episode that we had, when we talked about on Air Max Day, it does not matter if you are wearing, Sean Weatherspoon joint or a joint that comes from, Rackham shoes. You're wearing Air Max. We're all unified. Congrats to you. Handshake, high five. And that's how I feel Crocs are. So if you got your Salehis on and I got on some regular Joe Smalls from Foot Locker, I got on sale, we still high-fiving each other. It's not like there's no elitists or anything. We got our Crocs on, we chilling. And that's crazy when you think about that. But they've nailed it. And they nailed it on every single plateau, like you said, and every population that you could think of right now. And it's crazy, from kids to adults to, dude, my dad has a pair of Crocs.
Yeah. And they're doing it for, again, the whole family can have them. And then now they have more iterations because they have slides, and clearly they're doing more. They have a little takedown fly knit looking model as well. They just don't do that much with it, or that's not the model that they use for collaborations, which is smart. It's not like these other brands that take the model that you don't want, Reebok, and then force it on you through a collaboration. You know what I'm saying? So like those type of things, they know what's selling, and then it's just like, pour gasoline on it. You know what I mean? And I'm sure those investors are really, really happy. So, and there's one other thing I want to point out too, because this is starting to resurface as well. Because when it comes to, so there was a movie, all right, that came out over 15 years ago. I think it was like 2005, 2006. So even longer than that, right? And I think it was called Idiocracy or something like that. And in that movie, it was like this spoof on what the future was going to look like, and how stupid people are, and how brainwashed they are. And it was a low budget film. So the irony is, again, 2006-ish or whatever, that film had such a low budget to produce, right? So the people who produced it were saying, this is, what does the future, they're trying to, make a wardrobe of what they think the future is going to look like for sheepish consumers. Okay. All right. So then they go and say, what's a cheap shoe and something that nobody cares about, all this, and then, apparently the people in charge were like, this shoe will never catch on. Nobody will ever like this shoe. Well, it was Crocs, ladies and gentlemen. And if you go so throughout the whole movie, everyone's wearing Crocs. But you know what I'm saying? And they're the real Crocs. But it's supposed to be a spoof on, people that don't know any better, and what the, consumers would be like in the future. And then it's just like, wait, is that good or bad that art, imitated this form of life now, but like it was done so long ago that no one would ever think about this. I think the pandemic, was just such special years that it blurred our whole life, and we couldn't go outside, and then now you want to go outside, and then it's like, all right, now what? But you won't be comfortable, and it's just an all-purpose shoe. It's just the new slide, in my opinion, because I don't see a lot of people wearing slides, and I don't even see the slides being pushed like they used to either, especially the Nikes and Adidas. Like, look at we talked about Yeezys and other categories, but like Yeezy slides were still at the bottom of the better. Like the foam runners, yes, okay, because the foam injected mold shoes just was taken off in a lot of directions. So maybe foam runner had a little catapult with some Crocs action because it just made Crocs more relevant to this time, and that foam injected mold just became the thing
And not
for
only that,
everyone.
but Crocs being more affordable, more available, and so forth. And Shark, I think you really hit it on the nail, in which the emphasis on what I call relaxing gear really took off during the pandemic. And I think that we are in that post-pandemic time, in which is like maybe pre-pandemic, I would say I may choose a shoe of Foot Locker over a Croc. Now it's not weird for me or my homeboys to go in the Foot Locker and literally go in there specifically to get some Crocs and make our purchase and walk out. And I think the pandemic had a lot to do with that.
And you're probably gonna be more okay to walk into your job with them still on, and sit at your desk. So like those type of things. It's not there's no stigma. It's not like this hospital shoe or something like that. I think you have enough options and enough room to make it your own. Like the fact that they're doing draws on the Crocs website, that told me everything. You mean to tell me the Lightning McQueen from the Disney movie had a draw?
We have arrived.
Adult sizes, like you had adult version and then you had a kids version. Okay, now I get it for the kids, all day, but the adult version, if you stomp your feet, the things will light up.
We have arrived.
And that sold out. You know what I mean? Well, I'm just like, wait. So grown people want, light up shoes. You know what I'm saying? Like again, we went through these eras of that was cool when you was a kid. That was a Kmart shoe and all the other stuff. But then when you got older, those things got, or pay less or whatever, those things, there was a stigma that said that you can't do any of that stuff anymore. And I just think that, who cared? And who cares in the first place? You know what I'm saying? Like, they clean, they comfortable, you can do what you want, and you can switch it up, you can be on the go. That's a great shoe to carry with you, throw it in the trunk or something like that, and just in case you need to switch it up from any time. So no, very versatile shoe. And I think the numbers are speaking for itself. It's just you don't have to believe it. It's there. And if you haven't jumped on it, and it's not, probably not for you, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Not by now. You know what I mean? But or haven't been gifted a pair or something like that, just to try them out. Like, again, I keep telling everybody, like, I was skeptical too at first, but I'm someone who has always supported many brands. So check out our Soul Material Instagram page, and you'll see plenty of those many brands that I'm talking about. Because it's all about, that's why our motto, one of our mottos, is clarity over popularity. It's just all about, we're in it for the shoe game. It's not about just, this isn't the Nike podcast and Jordan podcast, because this is way more to sneakers than them. The fact that I just referenced a 2006 movie with Crocs. Does our audience know that Crocs has been around for a very long time? You know what I mean? Or is it just now a thing because you can see it in front of everyone's face? You probably saw Crocs and didn't know it because they were at like DSW and not Foot Locker, but now they are. They're there, and they're at like point of sale line of sights that they weren't before. So, yeah, these companies, they're not playing. This is, to me, I think Crocs even though they didn't just start, but I think
Mm-hmm.
this is like the strategy. I'm about to switch it up real quick, but the strategy of like Stance socks when they first came in the game, and when they looked at where the niche in the market was,
Yes, sir.
like Stance socks was created because um, a group of individuals that included Jay-Z and Will Smith did research on what market is the next thing to boom, and they picked socks, and then they created the product after they did all the research. They didn't just pick a category and then do all this research on how to penetrate the market. No, they looked at the market where it was open and was like, all right, we need to do this and do it this way. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, I felt like, from a distance, Crocs' reinvention of themselves and their brand, I think it had a lot to do with what the time and circumstance, and then them seeing that and was just like, oh, do this so that we can stay here, and then we're gonna go boom, and really catapult from there. So I just think that there was some good strategy and timely business decisions, and then just poured gasoline on it. They went from it's just like they look at the billboard over here and say who's the next artist, and then they're just like what movie's coming out, and then and anything else, what's hot, what cartoons, what TV shows are also around, or whatever movies that are getting regurgitated and put back out there, and then just be creative, and then put it in the hands of the artists in the boutiques that are selling your stuff, especially those boutiques. The power of the boutiques is definitely, I feel like, for those that survived the pandemic, what I mean, and do their business legitimately. I'm not talking about the resale shops. Sorry, I'm talking about the real stores, boutiques that have real accounts.
Indeed.
You know what I mean? Those are the people. It's like they kind of invested in you, and it's coming back. You know what I mean? So I think we definitely had to, talk about that business, just because some of those sales are already being talked about a little bit more, especially the rise in the stock of Crocs, because this isn't a peak right now. This is gonna keep going. The more that they keep pumping out, and then they're just expanding on the lines that they already have, like we said with the Salehi. Like, okay, then after that, then what? You know what I mean? Because he's going to come out with more shoes, because there are actually colorways that he's doing overseas that we didn't even get here in the States. You know what I'm saying? So look at the penetration globally that they're having, and then they're doing some of these limited releases, and like some of the colorways were limited, and then some of the other colorways had more. So it's just like, oh man, you know what I mean? So some of those other colorways that they did less of, they knew that it wasn't about selling a colorway. It's about selling that particular model. And they knew when you do those limited qualities, he threw, send out the friends and family seed list, and then just do some limited run. And then the other colors is when they mass produce them things, and then everyone's hand and foot over them, because you did the it's not even a bait and switch. You literally cooked up your own demand, just because of you pour some gasoline on a cool factor, and then look what happened.
Indeed.
So they like Crocs is like a man smoking at a gas station. Matter of fact, they already smoked because they blowing up as we speak. So yeah, definitely some good business talk for our audience, just in case you didn't know. Now you know. All right.
People lie, numbers don't, and Crocs is not cliche or niche. I believe this is not just a phenomenon, but something that's going to be a part of general culture, not just popular culture, just not American culture, but globally. And for years to come, I really think Crocs is going to be a staple. So to me, thinking about my first business class, when you talk about like Q-tips, like the Q-tip is a cotton swab, but the Q-tip, we call it Q-tips because it's a Q-tip, because that's what we know it universally as. And I think Crocs universally is just going to be a staple worldwide for a long time to come, for generations to come, because of what they have done and what they continue to do. And again, I remember my daughter being 1 or 2 years old, and that was her thing, Crocs, and you could buy the little things to put into the hose, and I didn't know what they were even called at that time. And 15 years later, we're here to where, my dad and his granddaughter are wearing their Crocs together, and different functionality as far as style and so forth, but they're winning. And again, having that universal appeal, that's where the money comes in, and that's where you can't lose. And Crocs right now, you're talking about winning. They're winning beyond comprehension right now. Like you said, Shark, I'm going to see if there's going to be a peak. But right now, they keep rising to the top like Dougie Fresh right now, and it's incredible to see.
Yeah, and the final point I'll make is, this is a sign of a savvy brand that wasn't too full of themselves, because they're not new, all right? But they made moves like they were new, because you're new to new people. You know what I mean? So you always got to keep that perspective, because a lot of times, I'm the shark, and they say, the term jumping the shark. They, many brands do that with certain lines that they have, or sneaker technologies or something like that they over push or something like that, and is forceful on the consumer. This was hey, this is kind of where we're at, so don't you need this here? Like one of those type of soft entrances, but it was such strategic, it hit so hard. And like I'm just saying, just commending them for sticking out with the wave. They knew what who their core customers were. That's why they kept surviving. But the fact that they understood where the point of acquisition was, and actually didn't waste any time, like, well, let's do some research, let's find it. Like, no, if you have a finger on the pulse, you move now. You don't move tomorrow. Tomorrow could be too late. So you have to operate like there is no tomorrow, because what you do today will affect your tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I feel like they really honed in on the moment, pandemic time, and because that's an inside outside shoe. That's a living room to the car. It's not just my shoe that I kick onto the mailbox. Maybe it is. It's also, is it the shoe you wash the cars in? Maybe it is. Is it the shoes you cut the grass in? Maybe it is. But you can also wear the same. You can spray that thing down with a hose, and then boom. You know what I'm saying? Now you date night, whatever. If you got your fit coordinated, the way you need to. I think that you can do all of the above, and that's what's cool about the Croc. And I think that with all the celebrities, in the way that they've endorsed it, is no more stigma of this is some clog old people shoe or something like that.
Definitely.
It's not even So yep, just wanted to, we're not going to talk your head off. This kind of the meat and potatoes of this particular episode, just to give you that clarity over popularity and hit you with some sneaker business talk before we wrap it up for the end of our third season over here. But definitely a point that we wanted to put on wax. So any closing words from the OG himself?
Crocs is here to stay. Simply put.
There you go. Now or later, the Gators Crocs is staying here. So we believe it. And the business says that it's booming. And I'm about to check my portfolio right now, because I might have to add a couple shares of Crocs before it get too high.
Indeed.
To make a little bit of money. All right. So there you go. Sneaker Business Talk, another episode from the Soul Material Podcast in the books. So for your co-host T Mart the Street Shark
and your man OGEO, peace to you.
Signing off.